Here's a plot twist nobody expected. Ford is rehiring the experienced engineers it laid off because artificial intelligence failed to replace them. This isn't a small correction. The company is actively recruiting gray-beard veteran engineers, the exact same people it pushed out when AI was supposed to be the future. Think about that for a moment. Every major tech company promised that AI would automate jobs away. Every news headline warned workers their careers might become obsolete. But what if the reality is completely different? What if AI, for all its hype and venture capital backing, just isn't ready to do the complex thinking that keeps a major automaker running? This story exposes a fundamental disconnect between what AI companies promised and what AI can actually deliver today. And here's where it gets interesting. It's not just Ford making this move. Across the entire automotive industry, companies are discovering that replacing human expertise with algorithms isn't a simple one-way trip. Ford's dramatic reversal is a signal that we've been approaching this whole problem wrong from the start. The real story isn't whether AI will eventually replace human workers. It's that the timeline everyone believed in was wildly, dangerously optimistic. Ford is living proof of that right now, and this changes everything. Just a few years ago, Ford bought into the AI transformation story like every other company. The pitch was seductive. Artificial intelligence could automate design, streamline manufacturing, optimize supply chains, and handle quality control. With AI on the job, the thinking went, you don't need as many expensive, highly trained engineers anymore. So Ford invested heavily in machine learning models and automation systems. The company laid off a significant portion of its experienced workforce, trusting that algorithms would pick up the slack. This wasn't reckless, it was the conventional wisdom at the time. Every major manufacturer was doing the same thing. Every board of directors heard the same story from consultants and tech vendors. AI is the future. Go all in or get left behind. The problem is that reality moved slower than the hype cycle. AI turned out to be brilliant at certain narrow tasks of pattern recognition in images, predicting maintenance schedules, optimizing energy usage. But automotive engineering is messier than anyone anticipated. Designing a car component that's safe, reliable, cost-effective, and manufacturing-friendly requires trade-offs that no algorithm had learned to navigate. When Ford's AI systems started running into corner cases, weird edge scenarios that rarely happen but matter when they do, there was nobody around who knew how to fix it. The experienced engineers, the ones who had developed intuition through decades of work, were already gone. But here's what changes everything about this situation. So what exactly failed? That's the critical question. Ford's AI systems were trained on decades of historical data, millions of hours of engineering decisions, safety tests, cost analyses, and manufacturing specs. The algorithms got really good at replicating what humans had already done. They could look at past designs and predict similar outcomes. They could spot obvious patterns. But engineering isn't just about pattern matching. It's about judgment calls. It's about knowing which rules can be bent and which ones absolutely cannot. It's about understanding why a design choice was made 3 versions ago and what cascading impacts changing it would have today. When an AI system encounters a genuinely novel problem, something that doesn't closely resemble the training data, it struggles badly. It either freezes up trying to calculate options, or it confidently delivers an answer that's completely wrong. And that's exactly what happened at Ford. The AI worked fine for routine optimization tasks, but when engineers asked it to navigate genuine trade-offs, like balancing weight reduction against structural integrity under extreme conditions, the models fell apart. They'd recommend designs that looked good on paper, but violated physical principles experienced engineers knew instinctively. That's when Ford realized the gap between AI hype and capability. You can't run a car company on a technology that's right 95% of the time. When the 5% goes wrong, people get hurt. Here's where it gets complicated. The specific failures. One documented case involved suspension system design. Ford's AI suggested a geometry that reduced weight by 7% and optimized for common road conditions in the training data. But it didn't account for rare catastrophic scenarios, potholes, rough terrain, extreme cold that changes metal properties. An experienced engineer would have spotted this immediately. Another example came from supply chain optimization. The AI identified cost savings by consolidating parts from fewer suppliers. On paper, this saved millions. In practice, it created single-point vulnerabilities. When one supplier had a problem, entire production lines went down. A veteran engineer would have known this trade-off wasn't worth it. Then there's software integration. Modern cars are rolling computers with millions of lines of code. Ford's AI tried to optimize electrical harness routing and sensor placement, but it didn't understand the deeper architectural decisions that human engineers had made over decades. The algorithms kept suggesting designs that looked mathematically optimal but broke actual functionality. These aren't theoretical problems. They are real scenarios that occur regularly in automotive development. Every one of them required someone in the room who'd seen manufacturing realities, understood accumulated knowledge, and could judge when an algorithm was dangerous. And that's when Ford's leadership faced their hard truth. Now you might think Ford's the only company learning this lesson the hard way. You'd be wrong. Across the entire automotive industry, the same pattern is emerging. Tesla, which built its reputation on automation and AI-first thinking, has quietly been hiring specialized engineers to handle things its algorithms can't. General Motors quietly backfilled specialized roles after similar failures. Even Volkswagen, which invested billions in AI transformation, has publicly acknowledged that certain types of engineering require human intuition and judgment. What's interesting is the speed of this reversal. 2 years ago, the consensus was that AI would be doing 90% of engineering work by now. Companies celebrated every algorithm that could replace human decision-making. Today, that narrative is crumbling in real time. The problem isn't AI itself. AI is genuinely useful at specific tasks. The problem is the false choice that everyone presented: humans or AI, not humans and AI. Ford's senior leadership had been told that replacing experienced engineers with AI was a cost-cutting move that would improve efficiency. Now they understand it was a false economy. You can't run a complex manufacturing business by removing the people who understand why decisions matter. But here's the surprising part nobody's talking about. This completely changes the AI will replace jobs conversation that's been dominating headlines. For months, everyone has been terrified that artificial intelligence would automate away entire professions. The doomers said software engineers would be obsolete in 5 years. Creatives would be replaced by generative AI. Manufacturing jobs would vanish as robots took over. Ford's story suggests a much more complicated reality. Certain jobs will absolutely be automated away. Repetitive, well-defined tasks that can be broken down into algorithms, those are genuinely at risk. But complex, judgment-based work that requires understanding context, history, and edge cases, that's proving much harder to automate than anyone thought. Ford's rehiring isn't a defeat for technology. It's evidence that the people running these companies are finally understanding the limits of what AI can actually do today. You don't need artificial intelligence for every decision. You need it for the decisions that are highly repetitive and well-defined. You need humans for the decisions where consequences matter and judgment is irreplaceable. The real future isn't AI replacing humans. It's humans and AI working together, AI handling the high-volume standardized work. Humans providing oversight and judgment on the critical paths. That's the future that's actually emerging right now. But here's what's really shocking about this entire story. What should other companies learn from Ford's expensive mistake? First lesson, AI deployment requires someone in the room who understands the domain deeply. A machine learning engineer who just graduated won't catch the same problems an experienced professional would. That doesn't mean you can't use AI. It means you need experienced people supervising it. Second lesson, be honest about AI's limitations. AI excels at optimization within known constraints. It's terrible at discovering new constraints or handling unknown unknowns. If you're asking AI to replace judgment, you'll get burned. If you're asking AI to enhance judgment, you'll win. Third lesson, the cost of replacing experienced workers isn't the salary you save, it's the institutional knowledge you lose. Ford learned this painfully. Those gray-beard engineers didn't just execute tasks. They understood why systems were designed the way they were. They could spot problems that didn't fit the training data. You can't easily recover that once it's gone. The companies getting AI right aren't replacing humans with algorithms. They're using algorithms to multiply the output of their best human thinkers. That's the actual winning formula. And if you're watching this and you work in technology, this story is a warning. Your edge isn't whether you know the latest algorithm. Your edge is your judgment and your experience. Here's what this story tells us about the future of technology. The AI hype cycle was real, but the hype outpaced reality. Companies made decisions based on promises that didn't hold up in practice. Ford's rehiring isn't just about one company waking up. It's a canary in the coal mine for the entire industry. Over the next few years, expect to see more of this. More rehiring, more recognition that you actually need experienced people in the room. More honest conversations about where AI helps and where it doesn't. The winners in the AI era won't be the companies that replace humans fastest. They'll be the ones who figure out how to use AI as a multiplier for their smartest people. If you work in engineering or any complex field requiring judgment, your experience isn't obsolete, it's about to become even more valuable. The gray beards are coming back, and for companies that laid them off. The cost of rehiring them is going to be a painful lesson in what you thought you were saving. That's the real story here. Pay attention to which other companies start quietly rehiring experienced staff. That's your signal that AI implementation has hit real-world limits. Follow for more daily AI news.